do the paper cutter. So the key thing with the paper cutter is that you basically need his arm on this side. So otherwise he has, you know, he can resist. If his arm is this side of the body, he can resist, yeah. So we'll start with the paper cutter submission to begin with, and then if he does have his arm this side of the body, we can kind of talk about how we can get to it anyway, right? But to begin with, we'll bear in mind particularly what we've been working on, where a guy has a tendency to bring his arm this side to kind of prevent mount and, you know, get involved in all that game. So this is basically where the paper cut comes in. So just to begin with on this, so one, I want his arm on this side of the body, right? And secondly, I don't want it coming back, right? So I don't want him being able to switch. So the first thing I do, the minute the arm is on this side of the body, I go with a grip in on this side, okay, like this, and I'm going to go into the universal sprawl, like this. So now pull your arm back, right? So it's very, very hard for him to get the arm back. And I can increase the grip by I can go on the cloth, or you can do this no gi, it doesn't matter. And I'm going right on here. So I'm on his diaphragm. So that's this part, right? So I'm in the universal sprawl, so he cannot get this arm back. So now, this arm's gonna go on this side, and the common mistake people make when they do this is they have a tendency to open their elbow up. It's very easy for George now to pummel his arm on the inside, yeah, and start causing me problems. So all I wanna do is slide this in, right? So I'm just sliding it. I can take a grip. I'm going to take a fairly shallow grip for now because the grip doesn't matter that much. So typical thing people do now is they tuck their chin. Yeah. So if he tucks his chin, I'm just going to wiggle this up, right, with my jack. So I'm now here. Okay. So next part of this really, so I'm still in my sprawl. He can't get his arm back. Okay. I'm going to take my elbow towards the mat without touching it. I bring it to his ear and he taps. Yeah. He taps. So notice that my knees were never on the mat during any of this. You okay?
Yeah.
Sorry. On the final part of this, if the grip is particularly shallow, so I'm turning facing this way, if the grip is particularly shallow, so I've not managed to get it deep, you know, it's been a fight, whatever, what I can do is as I bring this deep here, I can begin, once I take his ear, so I don't put my elbow on the mat, once I take my ear, his ear this way, I can then like guillotine. So what I mean by that is like Kavanagh talks about guillotine a clock, right? So I open his ear to begin with, and my elbow is going to do this. So I'm moving this up into his ear to open, right? If I want more turn, I do this. So I can take even a very shallow grip, open him up, and then if this is still like not tight enough, I just flex and turn it, right? Now obviously he's not gonna tap just to that. I have to have everything else in place, but that's like the final detail. Has everyone got it? Want to see it again? Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll do it with Billy and then you can see it. Yeah. Yeah. So, most important bit is I don't let him get this arm back, right? So once it gets to this side, with the gi, grab the gi. If you don't have if it's no gi, you just grab here. Yeah. And the second way in which I stop him turning back is I sprawl. So to begin with, it's kind of worth you just making sure that he can't pull that arm through. Yeah, I would do this as part of just making sure he can't get that arm back to this side. Yeah. So this is what the sprawl's doing. I can go lower on it as well and lock my hip into his elbow. So now my hip's touching his elbow. It's very hard for him to move. It's completely stuck. Okay, so now the arm comes across. When it comes across tight. I can do this from this side as well, but we'll go from here just for now. So I'm going to come here and I slide. If he tucks his chin, I jack. Yeah. So now the elbow comes down and it just begins to open. And that's basically it. Yeah. Any questions?
Grip on the collar, you thumb in?
Yeah, it's just a thumb. Yeah. To be honest, you can do this no gi. Right. You can just cup the back of it, the same kind of idea. You can just cup his trap and just drop your elbow through his throat. As long as he can't get that arm back, he's gonna tap. He's gonna tap.
Are you looking to apply the pressure across the artery or
you're just wrapping the gi around his neck. And this is why I said about this shallow piece. Sometimes when you get into it's a fight, isn't it? And sometimes the grip is shallow. And that's why when I'm talking about taking this weight away, so what's typically happening is I'm kind of this way round, right? And nothing's really on the ground apart from really this elbow and my feet. So as I take this down, what I'm saying is, even if the grip is shallow, ideally I'd like to be able to put my grip really deep into the collar. But even if the grip is shallow, I take the elbow to the mat. I don't touch it, because the minute I start touching it, I start transferring weight out of this. So I just take it almost like I'm just going to skim. Maybe the material touches, but like no more than that. And then I'm taking this to his ear. And then if I want to keep turning and taking the slack out of the cloth, I do this to him. So it's kind of like, it's just basically, as Kavanagh talks about guillotine a clock. When you guillotine somebody, it's this idea, right? This is the same idea. I'm taking the slack out of the connection. So it's just, I'm just finding a way of basically just wrapping it tighter and tighter and tighter while the other side of it's pinned.